Whatsay. Prepare for another first in American history, because the Orange Man has invited the Pooh Man to the US presidential inauguration.
What?
Many people, myself included, are completely surrounded by 黑人问号。川普跟习近平算是好朋友吗？台湾完蛋了吗？
Should I be worried?
Well, today, we're gonna find out exactly what all this means. We're also gonna reveal a report that was very quietly released by US Congress, which just might serve as a very important tool in the Orange Man's war against the CCP.
I'm gonna bomb the shit out of them. It's true.
So, 准备在爆米花 as we watch the real-life House of Cards go down in real time. 这个敢是代志大条。So in less than 40 days, Trump will re-enter the White House. And never, ever in US history has a foreign leader ever attended a presidential inauguration. Until...
Sources have confirmed to CBS News that President-elect Donald Trump has invited Chinese President Xi Jinping to his inauguration next month. Trump apparently extended the invitation shortly after winning the election.
And after this news dropped, many netizens completely lost their ship, saying Trump is pro-CCP and Taiwan 完蛋了，我们怎么办？真的是代志大条。
U.S. President Donald Trump spoke on the phone Saturday with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping, and afterwards both sides were sounding positive.
On Twitter, President Trump said he just had a long and a very good call with President Xi of China, and that the two covered all subjects, areas, and points of dispute. He also said a deal is moving along very well, and he expects some progress to be made on a comprehensive level.
If China invades Taiwan on your watch, are you committed to defending Taiwan?
I never say.
Still won't say.
I never say because I have to negotiate things, right?
Can you just say if you'll defend it? I'm not saying if the U.S. military.
I'd prefer that they don't do it. I have a very good relationship with President Xi. We have been communicating with each other.
Since you were elected?
Yes.
And you sent that message?
Since like 3 days ago. Yes, we communicate.
And you sent that message to him, don't invade
We didn't
Taiwan?
talk about that.
Okay.
We talked about other things. But I have a very good relationship, and I hope he doesn't do it.
I mean, let's be real. It does seem like the Orange Man and the Pooh Man are tight.
Tight, yeah!
Having secret private phone calls, barely even mentioning protecting Taiwan, and all this makes a lot of people very, very nervous. But why got it讲起来哈? Don't listen to what someone says, watch what they do. I wonder what Trump has been doing lately.
CBS News has been reporting how loyalty matters, and today one of those loyals got a promotion of sorts, a return. Trump announced that Peter Navarro will return to the White House next year as his senior counselor for trade and manufacturing. Navarro, who did serve in the first administration as a trade advisor, was in prison for several months this year for defying a subpoena from the House Select Committee investigating January 6th.
So he chose Navarro as his trade advisor. And out of all his cabinet picks, this fool is the most anti-CCP. He hates them in their bones. But do you know who he very strongly supports? Taiwan.
I interviewed one professor, Charles Glazer, who actually proposed a grand bargain to basically trade Taiwan for peace everywhere else. Okay? Yeah. Fortunately, everybody else I talked to, they didn't think that was such a good idea. It's not just about the morality or ethics or the commitment to democracy of Taiwan. That's the center of the first island chain.
Bruh, this dude has been saying that America should abandon the one China policy for a long minute. You remember that trade war that Trump waged against China? That was Navarro's idea.
I just want to say it's a great honor to have the president of China and his incredibly talented wife in the United States. We've had a long discussion already, and so far I have gotten nothing, absolutely nothing. But we have developed a friendship, I can see that, and I think long term we're going to have a very, very great relationship, and I look very much forward to it.
Now, back in 2017, Trump actually invited Xi Jinping to his Mar-a-Lago resort for dinner, claiming that they had established a really special and extraordinary friendship. And remember, at that time, Taiwan were completely losing their shit as well, worrying that Taiwan would be sold out because Trump and Xi Jinping were the best of friends.
The most important difference in America's new approach on trade concerns our relationship with China. For years, these abuses were tolerated, ignored, or even encouraged. Globalism exerted a religious pull over past leaders, causing them to ignore their own national interests. But as far as America is concerned, those days are over. To confront these unfair practices, I placed massive tariffs on more than $500 billion worth of Chinese-made goods. Already, as a result of these tariffs, supply chains are relocating back to America and to other nations, and billions of dollars are being paid to our Treasury. The American people are absolutely committed to restoring balance to our relationship with China. Hopefully, we can reach an agreement that will be beneficial for both countries. But as I have made very clear, I will not accept a bad deal for the American people.
And soon after that, Trump launched a trade war against his best friend, causing a lot of U.S. companies to completely leave China.
We're prepared to engage in a conversation with no preconditions. We're ready to sit down with them.
Oh yeah, and then Trump also said he wanted to have a complete and open dialogue with Iran. Seems friendly, right?
Wrong. Last night, at my direction, the United States military successfully executed a flawless precision strike that killed the #1 terrorist anywhere in the world, Qasem Soleimani. We take comfort in knowing that his reign of terror is over.
Then just 4 months later, Trump ordered a hit on Iran's largest and most powerful military leader.
Do not fuck with us.
So what can we learn from all this? Well, when Trump invites you to dinner and calls you his great friend, he's most likely planning to take your ass out. So that begs the question, why in the world would he invite Xi Jinping to the presidential inauguration?
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
Well, this is what I think. Trump is playing a very serious game of psychological warfare. He's basically playing Xi Jinping's pro-US and anti-US internal factions against each other. And the result will be a lot of internal conflict. This is what we like to call strategic ambiguity. We'll tread the line. But right now, Trump and the US Congress are very pissed at China because about a week ago, a very important report was silently released upon the public that could very well serve as Trump's justification for waging war on the CCP.
I'm gonna bomb the shit out of them. It's true.
Back on September 11, 2001, America experienced one of its most brutal terrorist attacks in its history, resulting in the deaths of over 3,000 people and also resulting in us invading Iraq and Afghanistan.
The drug cartels are waging war in America, and it's now time for America to wage war on the cartels. We will show no mercy on the cartels. I will deploy all necessary military assets, including the U.S. Navy. We will guarantee that the waters of the Western Hemisphere are not used to traffic illicit drugs to our country. I will designate the major cartels as foreign terrorist organizations.
You can't make fentanyl in a trailer in somebody's basement. So we know that a lot of it, maybe even most of it, the Chinese are making, meaning Chinese companies, not necessarily the Chinese government, but they sure as hell know about it. And then they bring it in primarily through the southern border, and the Mexican drug cartels are like the wholesalers.
Now, it ain't no secret that both Trump and Vance strongly believe that the CCP is backing Mexican cartels. Shit, even the hit TV show Lioness did an entire season about this topic, which I highly suggest you check out.
Stock market's at 24,000, and we went through the worst attack we've ever had on our country. This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this.
And then back in 2019, there was another major incident causing massive death in the United States, COVID-19. But back in the day, everyone, us included, had to pretend that it was the virus of unknown origin. But guess which country Trump thinks is responsible?
But you don't hear them talking about COVID. To be specific, COVID-19. That name gets further and further away from China as opposed to calling it the Chinese virus.
Well, they're losing their lives everywhere in the world. And maybe that's a question you should ask China.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China.
And back then, Trump was accused of racism and kicking off the Stop Asian Hate movement, and people were all over over his ass, saying that he had no evidence. How could it possibly be true?
It's true.
Back then, he questioned the effectiveness of masks and vaccines, which resulted in a lot of media and social media outlets banning his ass.
Tonight, a deafening silence from the president's Twitter account in his waning days as commander-in-chief. Twitter, run by CEO Jack Dorsey, saying after close review of the president's recent tweets, it banned him due to the risk of further incitement of violence.
Can you imagine a company established in America under U.S. jurisdiction actually prevented a sitting U.S. president from expressing his freedom of speech online? This shows you just how big this COVID fiasco was and how it affected Trump, the Republican Party, and the American people.
Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
You're sure of it? Because people are listening really closely to this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask.
What I repeat maybe 20, 30 times a day, that in order to avoid the acquisition and transmission of this virus, which is highly transmissible, you should have uniform wearing of masks.
Just like I don't think masks have to be made mandatory nationwide. I would insist that everybody on public be wearing that mask. Anyone to reopen would have to make sure that they walked into a business that had masks.
Couldn't you use your federal leverage to mandate that, though?
Yes.
And would you?
Yes, I would. From an executive standpoint, yes, I would.
Masks.
I would do everything on my possible to make it required that people had to wear masks in public. You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations. This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And I mean by this, right now, both vaccinated and unvaccinated people are testing positive.
And after a 2-year investigation, Congress released a report over 500 pages long. And as of last week, on my birthday, both Democrats and Republicans entered it into congressional record, which means they believe that this shit is true. This is now the official view of the United States government. And I actually read through all of it. And what got it going? This is some really serious shit. So serious, in fact, that it could lead to America declaring war on China.
Hold on to your butts.
So the report concludes that COVID-19 most likely emerged due to a laboratory-related incident. Evidence includes the presence of COVID-like research, gain-of-function activities, and safety concerns at the WIV. U.S. agencies, the DOE and the FBI, have provided varying levels of confidence that the virus's origins are linked to a lab incident. Simply put, some fools in a lab made that shit. So you could, possibly, maybe you couldn't call it a weapon. And if it were a weapon, that means it would have to be developed by the military, right?
Yeah.
It also found evidence that the WIV collaborated with the Chinese People's Liberation Army on projects and raising concerns about biosecurity and dual-use research. Evidence suggests that PLA researchers were directly embedded at the WIV, conducting experiments on novel pathogens, including coronaviruses. The PLA's focus reportedly included creating pathogens resistant to existing medical countermeasures, raising biosecurity and biowarfare concerns. Now, at this point, I'm sure quite a few folks, mostly Xiao Fenhong, have already taken to the comments to 联盟攻击 the shit out of this video, talking about that this is just a bunch of America propaganda nonsense, and it's all untrue. But Xiao Fenhong, what got it in war, it is not the truth that matters. What matters is that the American people, US Congress, and the rest of American government believe it's true.
It's true.
And this report, which I remind you has already been entered into congressional record, basically says that the Chinese military created a bioweapon, resulting in over 1 million deaths in just America alone. And that is well over the amount of deaths that happened during 9/11. Look how we responded to that. Oh, and there was also some very interesting information that was revealed in that report as well. The WHO's response to the COVID-19 pandemic was an abject failure. Throughout the pandemic, the World Health Organization shied away from placing any blame on the CCP, and Dr. Tedros even went so far as to praise the CCP's transparency during the crisis. In fact, the regime consistently lied to the world by underreporting China's actual infection and death statistics. In addition, the WHO disregarded warnings from Taiwan of a burgeoning virus because of pressure from China. From 2009 to 2016, Taiwan was an observer in the WHO under the name Chinese Taipei, yet the CCP has consistently blocked any form of engagement, ensuring the WHO does not formally recognize Taiwan as a member state. This lack of recognition led to these warnings from Taiwan being substantially ignored. Taiwan notified the WHO as early as December 31st, 2019, asking for more information about atypical pneumonia cases reported in Wuhan. The WHO never followed up with this this information. The then Taiwanese vice president, a renowned scientist with a doctorate in epidemiology from Johns Hopkins University who oversaw the SARS outbreak in Taiwan in 2003, stated in an interview that had Taiwan been a member of the WHO, it could have been better prepared for countermeasures against COVID-19. Oh, and in case you missed that tiny little detail, that document called Taiwan a country by stating that if it had listened to the vice president of a country called Taiwan, we could have all avoided this massive disaster. So on behalf of all the people of this great country called Taiwan, this means for you.
I told y'all niggas, y'all thought I was playing, but I told y'all.
And because you didn't listen to us, the world was paralyzed for 3 long years.
Now it's time to hold China and the corrupt forces who have facilitated this colossal suppression of facts accountable for the damage they have inflicted upon the world and all humanity. We have to do something about it. There has to be some form of retribution, and there will be some form of retribution.
So after this congressional report, Trump's belief that this was an attack by the PLA on Americans and the rest of the world was true. Now, you might think that this is not true, that this is all American political bias. It's all propaganda. But the fact of the matter is that Trump and the US government believe it's true.
It's true.
So with that in mind, 川普跟习近平算是好朋友吗?
Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe! But that's just me. What do you guys think? Does this report change anything? What type of actions do you think Trump will take whenever he gets back in that White House?
I'm gonna bomb the shit out of him. It's true.
Let me know down below. Remember to keep it civil, like, comment, and share this video with your friends because it's probably gonna get suppressed, and I will see you on the flip side. Peace!